Hello, everyone. It's Sunday once again. It's the first day of September, which is my most favorite month of the year. It's because it's my birthday month. Yay! So I'm really happy that the 1st of September fell on a Sunday, which is the day my most favorite day of the week as well. Having to talk to drummers on this day. But anyways, it's 1 minute till 2 o'clock here in the UK, which is 1 minute till 9 p.m. in Manila. I hope you all had like a great week and having a relaxed Sunday afternoon in the UK and in Manila. Just about maybe ready to go to bed. But if you just give us an hour, just join us. That would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, so today's guest, I'm really excited about this. I actually scheduled him for last year, but our schedules didn't like match up. But I'm really glad that he said yes to Ask the Drummer this week. And I mean, as most of you know, anything to do with Manchester music, Manchester, the city itself, I'm really like a big fan of. I just love Manchester so much. And his band is actually around the same time as Buzzcocks, Slaughter and the Dogs, Joy Division. It's absolutely amazing. So he's here today. So it's also like legendary bands. He's a legendary drummer. I'm really glad that he's here. So my dear friends, please welcome Alec Sidebottom. Yay! From the Distractions. Good afternoon. Is it Alec or Alex?
Alec, ALAC, yeah. We'll go for that.
But on Facebook,
I prefer Alec, yeah.
Yeah, on Facebook, you're Alex.
It's what, sorry?
On Facebook, your name is Alex?
Yes, it is, yes. Yeah. I get confused. I get confused. No, it's me. Yeah, Alec. We call it Alec now. Yeah, Alec. I will try to change it.
Yeah, because on every recording, that is really your name, Alec, though. ALEC.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you so much for saying yes.
Yeah, no problem.
That gig at Disorder last year with Fast Cars.
Oh yeah.
Ed Banger.
Yeah.
That was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was a good gig, that. I didn't like the place so much because the setup in the place was a bit weird, but the speakers. But it was a good gig. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And I think because there are 5 of you, I hardly saw, I think Chris Dutton was like way out over there. It's not, he's not part of the stage.
He wasn't the stage. You can't move those speakers. They're solid in the ground, And I couldn't see him neither. It was very odd. He got away with it.
Yeah, but before I actually go to the main interview, Ask the Drummer interview, I want to ask you this question. Oasis reunion, what do you think of it?
Well, I'm not really that concerned, to be honest. A lot of people like them. I know that. Yeah, they're very, very popular. And the working class guys from Manchester, which I like, because we used to live in Ladybourne, not far from Burnage, from where they're from. And an old friend of mine, my ex, used to work with the Gallagher's mother at McVitie's Biscuits. Peggy Gallagher. She was a good friend of hers. So my ex's mother worked with Peggy Gallagher. I'm not a great fan, to be honest. But yeah, it doesn't really bother me one way or the other. But yeah, it'd be popular, but it's hugely. And I thought they're very bit too Beatles influenced, They're very popular, and I've got a lot of friends who are Oasis fans, and so yeah. To be honest, it passes me by a bit, and to be honest, but I'm glad they did well. Working class guys from Manchester, that's the main thing. And,
good.
It's good to see, but they're making some money out of that. My God.
And it's like you can't escape it. the
You
whole
can't
week.
escape it.
The whole week, that's all people are talking about, the Oasis reunion. So
I know, yeah. Can I get a ticket? Can I get a ticket? You know, God. Yeah. And the price of the tickets. Have you seen the price of the tickets?
I know, yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, but
it's
you know, fair play to them. They've done well. Good guys from Manchester. So it's a shame the Manchester City fans. Because I'm a United fan. You know,
oh, yeah, okay,
that's another reason to hate, isn't it? No, good luck.
yeah.
What I say.
But did they say that real Manchester, like real Mancunians, go for City and not United, or is it that maybe is that
Well, that's a bit of a cliche,
a
really.
cliche?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say Manchester. Well, Manchester City are, well, they're just a big promotion thing now for the Middle East, I think. But
Yeah,
no. There have always been the Manchester clubs. Yeah.
yeah.
Manchester United has a Manchester postcode anyway, so they must be.
Yeah.
No,
Okay. Well, welcome to Ask the Drummer.
that's
Episode 141 is all about you, Alec Sidebottom.
yeah.
First of all, is it really your name, Sidebottom?
Yes, it is. It's a very old. It's an old English name, actually. I looked it up. It's my dad's side. My mother was Irish, and she was called O'Shields, which is an Irish name. But my dad was obviously from Stockport, from Manchester. And what it is, the meaning of it, it means it's derived from the word bottom, but it means valley dweller, somebody who comes from the side of the valley. Have you heard the name Botham, like in Botham, bottom
Yeah,
of Botham?
yeah.
Well, that means, imagine a valley, and a beautiful part of the valley. Botham means from the bottom of the valley. Sidebottom means side. It means somebody who lives at the side of the valley.
Yeah.
I think like there's names like Longbottom, which means they live in the long part of the valley. It's it's a derivative of an old English name. So yeah, actually where I live now in Yorkshire, it actually comes from Yorkshire. It's a fairly common name round here.
Yeah.
Derivatives of you get names like Shuttle Bottom, which means like a weaver to shuttle.
Yeah.
Shuttle. So it's a derivative of that. So it means somebody who lives in the valley who was a weaver. So it's a genuine name, and this part of the world you do get a lot because the Yorkshire Dales are all valleys, you know.
Yeah.
Real name.
Of course, the most famous one is Frank Sidebottom, but he's not really Frank Sidebottom because that's Chris Series, wasn't it? It was.
Well,
but
yeah.
then,
I know a guy called Dave Rowbottom, sort of thing. I know a few people call it. Yeah, different just variations on bottom.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with anatomy at all. You
No,
know.
I was just sort of like thinking maybe it's just a stage name or something. You know, it's but
it's a very old English. It's an old English Anglo-Saxon name. Derivative, believe it or not.
Yeah. Aiden said that sound and vision great. So, and he's also said a very interesting name origin. So, he's interested in things like that. So thank you for that. So I asked you this before we came on live. You're actually from Stockport and not from Manchester. You were born and bred in Stockport.
Yeah, from Stockport. Yeah.
Born at Stepping Hill Hospital, just like Aiden. So. Yeah. So, what was Stockport like?
Growing up, it was. Well, we were quite. You know, my family, my mum and dad. I was an only child. My mum and dad really didn't have. They got married during the war, during World War II. My mum was Irish in Belfast. My dad was a soldier stationed there, and they met and they got married. And he went off to the war, and when they came back, they had to live with my father's mother. And very outside toilets. It wasn't a very thingy. But when I was about 9 years old, we moved to Brinnington, which was a council estate.
Yeah.
It was had a big garden, bathroom, inside toilet, which was great. Stockport, when I was a teenager growing up, it was a bit rough, to be honest. Parts of it were a bit rough. Yeah, we used to go in the pubs. There was a few rough pubs down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was okay. There was nothing much to do except drink, really. You know,
So it's a
once
lot.
you're old enough to go into pubs and that, and yeah, there was a few music clubs there,
Yeah.
which it was just a bit before my time. There was a club in Stockport called, oh God, I can't remember it now. And it had Jimi Hendrix on it and people like that on it when he first came over. I remember the name in a minute. And yeah, there was one or two clubs, yeah. And but we mainly used to go into Manchester.
Yeah.
For gigs and things like that, and it used to be mainly up there. The 92 bus route.
Oh, the 192. It's the one. Yeah, the 192 bus now. Yeah.
Every weekend on the 92.
Yeah. Have you been back recently?
What?
Have you been back to Stockport recently, or
well,
it's so different now?
Yeah, well, my mum and dad are buried in the cemetery there, so I go up there, you know, once in a while, once every month or so. And my wife's parents, who both dead, come to Stockport, so we go up to the cemetery. And oh yeah, we play at the spinning, the spinning top.
That's right. Yeah.
Quite regular, the distractions. So well, it's about 2-3 times a year, and we're there on December the 8th. So yeah, we'll be back there, back at the spinning top. Great.
So what do you think of Stockport now? Because especially the interchange, the bus interchange.
I've not seen that, Anna. I've not seen it. No, I've not seen that.
Yeah.
You usually go in the car. Is it good? Is it big?
It's massive, and yes, it is good. I think it's brilliant. I think Stockport is actually amazing, and
yeah. There's some great parts. I used to live in Heaton. You know Heaton Moor.
Yes,
I used to live in Heaton Moor there in a flat. Yeah.
So, your mum and dad, were they a musical? Are you from a musical family?
No. On my mum's side, the Irish side, yes, they were. My uncles used to play harmonica, and we used to go over to Ireland once or twice a year when I was young, and I can remember all sat round singing Irish songs and things like that with harmonica. And I had two cousins who played Irish folk music and things like that. But on my mum's side, they were very musical, but not so much on my dad's side. No, they were big families, and no, not on my dad's side. They were both lovely, you know. But the music side is more my mum's side, really.
Yeah. Have you been always drawn to the drums, or did you try any other sort of musical instrument?
No, kind of. At school, I did try. I started off on bass guitar. I tried playing bass guitar with a friend of mine, very close friend called Wayne Sidley. If he's watching, hello Wayne. And I started off on bass, then guitar. And then, I don't know, somehow I couldn't really get the hang of it because my friend was so good. He just picked it up, didn't lessons or nothing. So, no, I just started drums because we formed a little band at school.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a drummer. There was 3 of us. And so I said, all right, and I'll do it. So I started off playing drums then, really, when I was about 13, 14. Yeah.
And did you have your own drum kit, or were you using?
Eventually, I had little plastic drums in the day, and I just kind of learnt on that. And then, eventually, my mum and dad forked out for a cheap drum kit, and I had the actual full kit then, which was great. Yeah. I used to drive them mad practicing in the back room. We used to have bang on the door. People queuing up at the door to complain, you know. I realised I was just like,
Did you have drumming lessons, or did you just sort of teach yourself how to play the drums? Did you have drumming lessons? Did you?
Well, no. To be honest, Anna, I have been shown bits and bats by people, but I've never had a drumming lesson. I have recently, since I moved up here, a lovely guy called Billy Lockwood, who played with New Model Army and things like that. I did have a few lessons off him since I moved up here.
Oh,
But in the early days, no, I never had any drum lessons. I'm completely self-taught listening to records.
yeah, yeah.
It's so out of time.
Was there so like a special or something that you can like in your recollection when you decided that okay, this will be my career. I'm going to be
Oh
a
no!
drummer.
Well, it was, it was all. And to be honest, I never really done it professionally full time.
Yeah.
I've never been able to make enough money to do that. The only time it became a bit of a career as such was when the Distractions signed for Island Records, and we paid ourselves a bit of a wage. So I was doing it full time then.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in the early days, no, it was always a semi. I suppose you could call it semi-professional,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I was doing it with a couple of bands, mainly a band called the Purple Gang, and we had such a lot of gigs. I didn't
yeah,
really.
yeah.
We used to go to gigs and then come back at 6 a.m. Then I'd go to work at 7 with no sleep. You know. So yeah,
Oh
no,
yeah, yeah.
I've never really actually been a professional as such.
But was that your first proper band, or were you in the band
Yes, it
before?
was actually. Yeah. As I say, we had a little band at school in the MF school, but I
Yeah.
was only like 17, and I wanted to go to art college at Stockport Art College, and the people who used to go there were the guys out of the Purple Gang. There was a guy called Jerry Robertson, Joe Beard, Trevor
Oh,
Lang.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
And I was just in awe. I thought they were a bit older than me at the time, and I thought they were so cool. They'd been to art college. They had long hair. They were into the blues music, you know. I want to be like them. And then I did go to art college for a short while, Stockport Art College, and then they split up, and then they reformed again. Oh yeah, no, sorry. They asked me to. They didn't have a drummer. They asked me to play on their album, the first album, and they must have been desperate because I went down to London and played
Yeah.
2 tracks on the Purple Gang Strikes album, which because they were under contract for 2 singles and an album, so
Yeah.
they put both singles on it, and then they had to do another 2 or 3 tracks, which I played on that. So they fulfilled the contract then, you see.
Yeah, yeah.
And after that, I was playing in blues bands, different bands. And then the Purple Gang reformed in 1969, I think it was. And they asked me, they weren't fully electric then. Before that, they were like an acoustic blues group. They call it jug band music. I know you heard of jug band music.
Yeah.
They were a jug band called the Young Contemporaries Jug Band. And then, but in 1969, they went fully electric mandolin, electric guitar, full drum kit, and I played washboard. And so really, that was when I was with them quite a lot, from about 69 to about 72 when they packed in.
How old were you then?
I was like 19, 20.
Wow.
19, 20. And then we moved to London with the Purple Gang eventually. And then I lived in London for 3-4 years.
Is it true that you were called Haystack back then?
Oh, what?
When you were called Haystack when you were in the Purple Gang.
Well, that was Joe Beard's name. That was the guitarist at the Purple Gang, Joe. That was his. Everybody had a nickname. One was Mr. Goose, and my man was Haystack, because I had long hair at the time. And it used to go like that, you know. So, yeah, I used to be able to sit. I had hair right down my back.
Yeah.
And really long hair. Not now. But I wasn't the tidiest of people at the time. So with my hair and mustache, they used to call me Haystacks. I don't know why. Because it looked like
I looked him up.
It looked like I just climbed out of a haystack, you said.
Oh, is it? I looked up the Purple Gang because they were formed in Stockport, and apparently their song "Granny Takes a Trip" was banned by the BBC.
It's banned by the BBC. Yeah, I didn't play on that actually. That was released before I joined them. But yes, takes a trip. LSD, you know, an LSD trip at the time. But it was nothing about that. It was not about that at all.
Yeah.
It was just about an old lady who decides to go to Hollywood and tries to become a movie star. It takes a trip to Hollywood. And it was nothing to do with drugs or LSD or anything.
Yeah.
The BBC got the wrong end of the stick. They thought, oh, anything, because they were banning things like, what was it, the Beatles fixing a hole, fixing a hole, and the Birds 8 Miles High. Any song, because any songs in them days which had a supposedly drug reference.
Yeah.
No, it was banned. It was the BBC at the time, very straight-laced.
But also, the singer is apparently called Lucifer.
Yeah, he was a Satanist. He was I won't say his name, but he was into witchcraft and.
Maybe that's the reason. Yeah, maybe that's the reason why they banned
He was into it. He had a tattoo and everything. He was definitely into what they call Wicca, Wicca. He was a fully ordained Wicca priest sort of thing. He was really into it. That was his nickname.
Oh, I see. Okay. Because also, Granny Takes a Trip is like a shop in London. Because I had Dorothy Max Pryor, who's the drummer of Rima Rima, on Ask the Drummer.
Oh, yeah.
And she now actually has a radio station called Granny Takes a Trip.
Is there?
A radio program called Granny Takes a Trip.
Well, I never knew.
Yeah, I think it's every Monday afternoon that she's got
you have
this
to
show.
send us a link to that after. I'll send it to Joe Beard,
Yeah.
But, there is a shop. There was a big shop, a boutique in London on the King's Road called Granny Takes a Trip. And whether it was named after the record or is always a bit of an argumentative point. But it was a real high fashion. John Lennon used to shop there. Jimi Hendrix used to shop there. All the big names used to go there. Very high fashion shop, and I think it's actually, somebody said it's actually reopened again as well after all these years.
Yeah. Well, I will send you the link because it's really good. And Max, she's called Max, or Dorothy Pryor. Like a punk. She's a drummer in a band. I don't know if you've heard of Rima Rima, but it's like a punk band. In I think late 70s as well. So, but anyways, I'll send you the link to that.
Yeah, do that.
So from being the drummer in the Purple Gang, apparently you were also in the Renegades. Is that?
Yes.
I looked it up. Is that a Manchester band or a Birmingham band?
Oh yeah, that was a Manchester rockabilly band. But that was at the same time as a distraction. That was a few years later. Their drummer was a bit unreliable. He couldn't do every gig. So yeah, the Renegades. You look at, there's some good YouTube clips of the Renegades. They were very wild rockabilly band.
Yeah.
They were great. The rock. A lot of punks like the rockabilly band, like the Renegades, because they were so energetic. They had so much energy. And we used to do all these rockabilly teddy boy clubs. Mainly there was a bit in those days in 79, 80. It was a big revival in rock and roll, rockabilly, things like that. And you got the guys with cliff haircuts, with the big skirts, doing the jiving and things. Oh yeah, it's good, but it was great fun doing it with them. It was great.
So you were doing that and the Distractions at the same time?
Yeah, well, it was, the Distractions were coming to the end, really. It was kind of petering out. So, I was doing more with the Renegades at one stage. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Distractions. Because, so the early days, so apparently it was formed in 1975 by Mike Finney and Steve Perrin. But they had an original drummer, someone called Tony Trapp.
I didn't know him, Anna. I believe they did. Yeah, Tony Trapp as well.
Yeah.
But how I came to join was I was living in New York, with my ex, and where we went to live in New York, in Queens, in New York, and we were going to really live in New York, we live in America, really, but we had problems with visas and work things like that, and we could only stay. I stayed about 6-8 months, sort of thing there, but we had a lot of problems with immigration and things like that. So we ended up staying in New York, and then what they said was, right, if you go back home to London, apply for a green card at the embassy, you can come back in. So we went back, and it was a bit of a weird time because we didn't have any money, nothing. But I knew a guy called Adrian Wright, who was one of the original members of who was in the Distractions.
Yeah.
And I knew Adrian from a couple of other bands he used to play with. And I think like maybe 2 days after we landed, we had no money, nowhere to stay, nothing. And I bumped into Adrian. He said, look, I'm in this band. He said, we're stuck for a drummer. We really need a drummer. Do you fancy doing it? I says, oh, hey, man, we're going all right. Shit, I've not played for ages. And my kit's at my mum and dad's and everything like that. He says, oh, come on, be great. You'll like it. I says, oh, okay. So anyway, I got my kit together and I went down to rehearsal in Wythenshawe. It was in a scout hut in Wythenshawe. And and they all look really young, you know. Anyway, I before that I was in a band called Menace. It was like a bit of a hard rock band. We used to do Hendrix and Lou Reed stuff and things like that. But as soon as I heard the songs, Distractions, I thought, wow, these are really, really good songs, you know. And so I think the first one was Still It Doesn't Ring I ever heard of theirs. And they were great. I thought, man, this is really good. So I thought I'd love to join sort of thing. So I ended up like joining there after a couple of rehearsals. We got it going there. Yeah.
And what about going to?
It was Adrian who introduced me to them. You see, so
yeah. What about going to New York? So you just scrapped the idea of going back to...
That was about 2 years before that. We went to, actually, as I say, we did. My ex had lived there. She'd lived in Nevada for years, and she came back. We met up. She said, "Oh, we'll come back. We'll go and work and live in Nevada." I said, "Okay, why not? Not doing anything else." And but the visas weren't in order. We had problems with the visas, and they said, "No, you're going back. We're not letting you in." But we ended up appealing, and we managed to stay. But it was a lot of messing about. So, and we'd run out of money, but couldn't work. We weren't allowed to work. You see.
We are live again now. I'm really sorry about that, and I did sort of like warn you beforehand that it might happen. That's 2 weeks in a row now. It happened last week towards the end of the show, and it is a bit frustrating because when it's going really well, and then all of a sudden it happens. And
these things happen.
Yeah, but that's live. That's a live podcast for you. But anyways, so we were talking about the Distractions.
That's right.
And the beginning of the Distractions. So you were in New York. You came back.
Yeah.
And then you met Adrian, and then he invited you to join the Distractions.
Yeah, as I say, I already knew Adrian from previous bands because I used to live near him in Mosley in Tameside. And I always thought he was a really good guitarist, Adrian. He was really good. And I always liked him and what he played, But as I said, he asked me to join, then I went up to the Scout Hut in Wythenshawe. And joined. It was great, but in New York, it was as I say, it was a bit of a strange situation because, to be honest, we weren't very legal there. So we had to go and sign in every week at the federal building to let us stay, so we could stay and couldn't work. But every Sunday. That's what got me into Latin music. In Central Park on a Sunday afternoon, all the Puerto Ricans and the Cubans and Dominicans, they all bring the drums out and the salsa. Oh, honestly, at the time, and it was just fantastic. It just blew my mind. It really did. And the horns and the dancers, the congas, all the Latinos in New York used to go in Central Park in the Sunday afternoon. Oh, it was just fantastic. I just fell in love with Latin music then, you know.
Yeah.
That's the instructions, and that was always there, you know, in my head. And I collected records from that type of music, and I always loved that music.
Yeah.
Distraction. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, because I know that's what you do right now. So I will ask you about the Brazilian samba things, because I've seen some photos on Facebook that you posted recently. So we'll talk about that later on. The Distraction is actually the description is a new wave punk band. So you've done rockabilly, and you've done it's like a psych or a psychedelic pop.
It was like psychedelic hard rock, you know, with the Purple Gang. It was kind of psychedelic. Yeah, I suppose it was. And then, as I say, I played with a pub rock band called Menace between the Purple Gang and the Distractions, and going to York. And they played for bikers and Hells Angels clubs and things like that. And so we played every week at this bikers club for about 2 years. Every Saturday we played this bikers club, and that was good. We used to play bikers' funerals. When a biker smashed into a tree or something, we used to play at their funeral in a church in Ashton. Because they're always crashing into lampposts, you know.
Oh God!
But that was fun.
So the Distractions. When did you join them? Because they split up in early 80s, right? So when did you join?
When did I join? It was 1978.
78, right? Okay.
Because we got back from New York. We got back from New York, I think, in the summer. We'd been there for almost a year. We got back in the summer, and I think it was about early summer 1978. We joined. And that was when there was a lot going on in Manchester then, you know. It was the right place at the right time.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because you know, like Buzzcocks and Joy Division and Slaughter and the Dogs, all those bands that's included in this Manchester North of England compilation.
Oh yeah.
The Distractions description in here. Apparently, Paul Morley said the Distractions is the perfect pop band of the 80s.
Yeah, that was very nice for Paul. Well, there's lots of kind of descriptions going about. It was very pop rock oriented, and it had a 60s feel as well. You know, like a 60s pop feel. I mean, the Buzzcocks were a big influence. You know, they were already pretty established by then. They'd had a few hits and everything like that. And I remember Steve and Mike, they were good friends of Pete Shelley, and he gave lots of good advice. He said, you could be really, really good big band. And I remember Pete saying that. And it was. I mean, along with the Fall, don't forget the Fall. They were a huge band as well at the time. So at one time, there was the Distractions, Joy Division, the Fall, and the Distractions. We were one of the 3 biggest bands in Manchester at the time, you know. So we got a good name. So, that was when all the record companies came piling down.
Well, John Maher was on Ask the Drummer recently, and we did talk about, Buzzcocks helped a lot of bands.
Yeah. Oh, they did. The Buzzcocks were great. Yeah,
giving them support. So the Distractions were actually one of those bands that.
Oh yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, definitely. As I say, I didn't know them as well as Mike and Steve. But they did a lot of help, advice, using rehearsal room, trying to get gigs and things like that. Yeah, people forget how much the Buzzcocks helped Manchester music. They really did. You know.
Yeah. Well, with your description as a new wave punk, it makes me sort of like wonder how come it didn't reach us in the Philippines. Unlike Joy Division, I mean, Joy Division were like really massive when I was like a teenager. But I think it's because it came from New Order. Because when I was a teenager, when we had the Smiths and New Order, and then of course we found out about Joy Division after that. But it's like it was before my time, because it's the same with Buzzcocks. Buzzcocks were big, but it didn't reach us. And again, the Fall.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the Fall. I know that they're like really, like the representative of Manchester and things, but I only knew one song from the Fall that reached us.
The Fall were not a pop band.
No, so I'm just wondering how come the Destruction so like never reached us, but because after seeing you live.
Yeah.
And of course I had the records now and I've got the CDs and stuff. It's like, oh, this is the sort of music that we would love in the Philippines.
There's lots of different factors involved, well, with hindsight, when we started off with TJM label, with the first EP, you're not going to just like that.
Yeah.
And that was where we used to rehearse. We used to rehearse that one, yeah. We were drunk that day. That was outside the big rehearsal room, TJ's rehearsal room. Tony Davidson, who was another big influence on Manchester music.
That's right.
Because he's wrote a book at the lady. Everybody writing books about Manchester music. I should write one. And he's. And we, as I say, that place, they had the Buzzcocks, the Fall, Joy Division, us, and lots of other bands used to rehearse it. So he started off his own record label. And we were on that one, and he had a band called V2. And so consequently from that, Tony Wilson out of Factory got to hear about us. And then we signed for Factory Records at the time. So we did one single for Factory. Unfortunately, the thing is, but Factory were concentrating on Joy Division at the time. They were getting big, So most of the attention went on them. And so we signed for Island Records, which was a big label, which was a bit of a mistake in a way, because we should have stuck, with hindsight, it's easy to say now. With hindsight, we should have stuck with Factory, really, because Tony Wilson said you can always come back and do another one, But then we did tours. We did tours with the Members. We had a band called the Members.
Yes,
Of the Suburbs. We did, I think, 40-day tour with them, and we played Ireland. We did 2 gigs in New York. With the Distractions, and that went down really well, actually. That was great. And then we did the big tour with the Members, I think 1980 it was, and then we did the album for Ireland. But you're just a small cog in a big wheel, really, And then the thing is, they signed, again, bad luck of the Distraction, U2 had signed at the same time. They signed us and U2. We were like the yin and yang, you said. But and then again, all the attention went on U2. And we got kind of sidelined, sort of thing. So anyway, and then Steve,
like that symbol that you've got there on your wall. So that's like yin and yang. That's you. That's the Destruction.
I do Tai Chi. I've done Tai Chi for nearly 12 years now. I do Chen style Tai Chi. I used to do it at the in Chinatown in Manchester. But, and I used to run a class up here doing Tai Chi. I love Tai Chi. I try and do a little bit every day. Qigong. It grounds you. You become part of the earth,
Yeah.
But,
well, the thing about the album, because do you know there's a website called Manchester District Music Archive?
Yeah.
It's a very good site because if you love Manchester music and anything to do with Manchester, they've got so many things that you can find and discover on that
Okay.
site. But anyways, one thing that I found out from there is there's an article about the first Distractions album, and I don't know if this is true or maybe just a made up thing, but apparently the first one is supposed to be called "The Talking Dog Ate My Recording Contract," and I looked at there's an article there, and it's,
And that's Manchester humour. No,
because, well, there's the track listing there, and every single track was sort of like reviewed, and I found one song that's actually included on Nobody's Perfect, which
yeah.
is which way is it? Still, it doesn't ring.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So I was
yeah.
sort of like thinking, is this a real album or was it just
No,
some?
no, it was just a bit of it was just a bit of a joke. It was a bit of an in joke. Uh, this was Steve Perry. That was Steve. That I think that was Steve came up with that. He said that in an interview somewhere. Or it was a piece of writing what he did. He says, no, we're going to call it The Talking Dog Ate My Recording Contract. Because The Talking Dog, right, the guy who produced, do you know Time Goes By So Slow, the Factory single?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, the guy who produced that, called Brandon Leon, he was on there used to be a show called Esther Ranson, and he had something to do with that. He found this dog which could actually talk. He could say sausages or something like that. It made a noise which sounded like a word. And this talking dog, had its 5 minutes of fame, right? And on this show, this Esther Ranson show. Anyway, and the guy who used to manage us used to manage the talking dog. This is true. It's a true story. And Steve said, well, why didn't you put? Somebody asked him, well, why didn't you put out another single on Factory? And he said, well, the talking dog ate my recording contract. So there was a talking dog on there. Probably Google it, Esther Ranson show, talking dog, and it will be on.
Okay.
And that was our manager. He managed the talking dog as well.
Well, okay. Well, Aiden said, I remember the talking dog on That's Life with Esther Ranson. So, yeah, you're right.
It was the guy who found the talking dog was our manager. So,
I see. So, what about the song titles that were listed on that in that
album.
article? Are they all just made up?
No, those are some titles. So it doesn't ring. No, those are the titles of the song on the album.
Yeah, but there's only one that's actually on that album. The other song titles, I couldn't find it anywhere because I thought I'll search it on YouTube, especially that one where it says the talking dog, but it's not there. And I was all like thinking, oh my God.
Well, it probably got wiped off somewhere along the line, you know. It was just a throwaway line, really, but there was a talking dog, and yeah, it did actually exist. Yeah.
So Nobody's Perfect is the real debut album of the Distractions, not that one about that. Okay.
There was a couple of tracks before that, but no. Well, as an album, yeah, and that was re-released in 2020, a double CD in 2020. There was a remixed version of it and the original, and a load of stuff on it, and it's well worth getting that one. That's great.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah,
it was out on CD. In fact, no, I've not got it here. It was out on CD for the first time. It was only released on vinyl, and in 2020 it was released on a double CD. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I've got a song I forgot to say. Just shout out Manchester Digital Music Archive because they are really, really good.
Oh yes, yeah, I have heard of them. Yes, they're good.
They're very good. So, the Distractions actually still going,
Yeah.
Because even though you sort of like split up in 1981,
81, something like 81, yeah, something like that.
yeah, and then you've done sort of like other bands. You've been drumming in other bands.
Well, I joined a band called Dr. Filth then.
Yeah, yeah,
And we did gigs with Nico and Early New Order and things. It was a very dark, completely opposite to Distractions. It was very much like the Doors, you know, a very dark, not gloomy, but kind of more on the dark side.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we did gigs with, you know, Nico, who
Yes,
used to
yeah,
live in Manchester, and
yeah. I heard that. Yeah,
the Blue Orchids, and
yeah.
who Chris used to play with. And yeah, we did a couple of gigs with the very early incarnation of New Order as well. And Dr. Filth were a really good band. They were great, I thought.
Yeah.
But that faded out. And yeah, I played with a few more bands.
Well, according to Google, Dr. Phil actually became First Circle, and you were back with Mike Finney in.
No, I wasn't involved in that, Anna. I wasn't
Oh, you're
involved.
not part of it.
Oh, First Circle, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, yes, with Paul Rosie, with Rosie, yeah, that was for a short while. That was a bit short-lived, though. It was all a bit short-lived, you know. No, I don't know what happened. To be honest, I can't remember what happened there. It just kind of fell apart, really.
Yeah.
Mike went on to form Secret Seven and things like that, and different bands.
Oh, yeah.
I drifted a bit then.
Yeah, because talking about Manchester Digital Music Archive, I found this promotional photograph of First Circle, and I know it's the church because that church is. I asked Aidan about it. It's Christ Church on Wellington Road North in Stockport.
Oh yes, it is. Yes,
the photograph's by Kevin Cummins.
Yeah. We did a photograph and a few rehearsals and a few demo tapes, and then it kind of all fell apart. I can't remember. I thought that was all pulled down now. Is that still there? That church?
Well, there's still that bit of where the spire is, so it's still there. Because I recognise, I was sort of like saying to Aidan, where's that church? I know that church because you know the 192 goes there.
That's right. Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, God, I've not thought of that for years, and I remember that. Yeah.
So it's like Dr. Phil and First Circle, are these like two separate bands that got merged into one? Or?
Okay. They were separate bands, and then First Circle, and then it was Secret Seven. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought I heard a noise. First Circle and Secret Seven, and then I wasn't really doing much then. Actually, I played with. I was on a record with. Do you remember Jilted John?
Yeah.
They hit it novelty single. Well, I played on the album of that, not the single. I played on the album. John Scott asked me to do it for drums on it, and so I did the Jilted John LP, the album, not the single. So that was, I did that after that. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, right.
And
that's
that was
amazing. All these sort of like bands, especially on disc one, like Jilted John and Chris CV, Frantic Elevators. Frantic Elevators is what's his name? Mick Hucknall from Mick Hucknall.
We did. He was with Frantic Elevators. Yeah. We did gigs with them. Yeah, quite a few gigs. And I always remember the hair. I remember the red hair. Yeah. They were a very good band, but I remember at the time thinking, he's got a bloody great voice, that guy, you know, because the band weren't that good, to be honest. But I remember they had one good song, which was Rolling Back the Years, which had a hit with Simply Red. And I thought, wow, that's a really good song. I remember thinking that at the time. Yeah, Frantic Elevators, they were around at that time.
Yeah, that must be incredible. So like being part of the Manchester music scene at the time.
Well, it was just for some reason it was kind of the stars aligned. You know, everything came together at the same time. For some reason, different circumstances, and then all the record companies piled in. You know, they think, well, we're missing out here. Whoa. So they were signing everybody up. I mean, the Distraction, before we signed to Ireland, I think we had about 3 or 4 Polydor, Chrysalis, were all wanted to sign us, But our manager and the rest of us, we were kind of stars in our island. I loved Ireland music, Ireland records, Bob Marley and all this, We all So we thought that would be the best. But there was a few people there who liked us and who were on our side. Neil Storey and Bill Stewart, who were great, but we just got signed. Basically, we didn't have much success with the album, so they concentrated on U2, to be honest. And then we were kind of
unfortunate for the Distractions, because
thank you, goodbye.
Yeah. Well, do you know how they came up with the name?
How what?
How did they come up with the name, the Distractions?
Well, that's Steve. You'd have to ask Stephen Mike that.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it was something to do with the Jean-Paul Sartre book. There's a line in it called "Love is Just a Distraction." I think it's a chapter heading, something to do with some pretentious French writer, I think. So. You'd have to ask Stephen Mike that.
All right. Oh, you were also in another band called The Things, and The Things. It says so.
For a short while, fairly recently, about 10 years ago. John used to be in John Maher, he was in The Things. And John was just the man, the best drummer around.
Wow!
John Maher was in The Things. Yeah.
So that's before you joined. So John.
No. It's a bit complicated. It was about the time of the Buzz comeback. It was about 1980, 81, and John was with them then. They were like it was a sideline to the Buzzcocks where John played with them. But the Things kind of reformed. Another band reformed about 2015, and. And I played with them then. It was the original guys, apart from me on drums rather than John, of course. I think they asked him, but he was too busy. He's in Scotland now. So I joined them, and we did some gigs in Berlin, which was great. That was good.
Wow.
And the Distractions.
Do you know you and John Maher? Do you know each other? Are you?
I know him, just say hello to. I don't know him well. Joe, our bass player, Joe, knows him very well. He speaks to him all the time, and his sister still lives in Manchester, as far as I know. But when the Distractions reformed, that was 2017. 2016. Because shall I tell you about how we reformed?
Yes, please.
What happened there was that. Have you heard of John the Postman?
He's also included here. John the Postman has also got a song. Yeah.
Right, he was a very legendary figure in Manchester music scene. And he used to jump up. His signature tune was Louis Louis by the Kingsmen. And at every gig in Manchester, he used to jump up at the end. When Joy Division, The Fall, whoever it was, he'd jump up the end and start singing Louis Louis. And he did it. And the Distractions were his absolute favourite band. And every gig, he'd be there at the front. Him, Joe, and Tim Lyons they were always used to come to the gigs. But John especially, he used to jump up and sing Louis Louis. Tried to drag him off, But he wouldn't have it. He insisted on doing it. But he died in, when was it? 2015. He passed away in 2015. And his sister asked Joe, or I think it was Joe or somebody, could we get something together? We had a bit of a party at the Tiger Lounge in Manchester. Everybody who knew him, came down and things like that. It was great. It was really nice because he had the most phenomenal records collection on it you've ever seen. It's worth a fortune.
Wow.
He used to buy, every time a single came out in the punk era, he'd buy one to play and one to keep. So we had all these white label copies and things like that, which his sister Catherine, I think, she's got them all, I think, and they're well worth looking into. But anyway, we did. He asked us to get a gig together, and some friends. And she said, "Will the Distractions mind doing a few Distractions songs?" So there was me, Mike, Chris, Joe, a guy called Dave Holmes of the Things, and Tim out of the Harveys. We all got together, knocked a few rehearsals, knocked a few songs together, and did. I hadn't played kit for ages. I hadn't played kit for a long while because I was doing percussion, congas, and things like that. So and running the samba band. So I says, "Oh, okay." So we did it, and honestly, Anna, it blew the roof off. Everybody went wild. They thought it was great. So we afterwards, after it was over, it was me, Mike, and Chris, and said, "Should we carry it on? Do you fancy doing a bit more of this?" You know. I loved it, and I felt at home on the kit because rock and roll's in my heart. So
yes, of course,
it felt like coming home, and I thought, yeah, I'd love to do it again. So we had to. We were a bit stuck for a second guitarist, so we were quite a while till we found a second guitarist, and then we started going out doing a few gigs, and it went down so well. So we just tried to keep it going, you know. So
So this is different from the other lineup. This is a different sort of like Distractions lineup.
Oh yeah, different lineup. There's only me and Mike are the original members.
Yeah.
And we've got Joe Breheny, who was in the Things.
Yeah.
And he was a mainstay of the Things and the Harveys. And then Chris Dutton, who's a very well-known guitarist in Manchester. He played with the Blue Orchids, Kill Pretty, and things like that. And a guy called Graham Battersby from Stockport in Cheadle, who's got his own studio and who's played in loads of bands. So yeah, it's a good lineup, and it's lasted a lot longer than the original one, the original Distraction.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're all working. You see, I'm retired. I used to do teaching, maths and English, but they're all working, so we can't do it full time anymore. We couldn't do a tour because Mike has a job which takes him everywhere. Chris has a job which takes him everywhere, and Joe's only recently finished his job. But it'd be a bit difficult to do a tour like that. But we just do, when we can get them.
When you're also like free.
We have supported like bands like the Flaming Groovies, the Skids, Penetration, the new version of the Buzzcocks with Steve Diggle. We support all them. So I really enjoy it. And we've got the new songs off the new EP. So I think it's as good as the old one.
Yeah. I've got to say hello to Chris Dutton because I saw him last Monday. Last week maybe. Yeah, I saw him at the gig, so I want to say hello to him if he's watching. Hello.
He goes to almost as many gigs as you do.
Well, I asked you this before because this EP has got new Distractions.
Yeah.
When you do gigs, you don't call yourself New Distractions.
No,
when you do the gigs,
the only reason,
Distractions.
Yeah, the only reason for that, Anna, is because that EP was only available through Bandcamp. Now there is a Distractions already on Bandcamp, you see, and because after I left, they reformed again about 2012, 2014, and they had another 2 albums out called Kindly Leave the Stage and End of the Pier. Now, that was with Occultation Records. It gets a bit complicated, this, so they're with Occultation Records, who have their own site on Bandcamp. So if you want to buy that EP and you just put the Distractions, it will go to their site. They don't sell it on this site. So we had to set that up ourselves. We had to sort a different name up. And there's like hundreds of bands called the Distractions because we put it on Spotify, and honestly, Spotify Distractions. There's like 2 pages of bands called the Distractions. There's these American rap bands and all things. There's a wedding band called the Distractions. So to get around all that, we just called it the New Distractions, just to differentiate between all the other bands, you see.
And what about the Distractions UK? That's still your band.
That was another thing. That was why we did put the UK in brackets, you see.
see.
Because you go again on Facebook. There's about 50 sites for the distractions, but nothing to do with us. So we put distractions UK as opposed to distractions Melbourne, Australia. You know,
Yeah.
it's a common name. I didn't think there was that many until we started going on Spotify. We've got one single off that on Spotify, Gardens of Midnight, which is doing quite well, actually. And yeah, it was just purely to differentiate the new band from the old bands, really, you know. And as I say, that the two albums which were on Occultation were nothing to do with me. It was only me. That was Mike and Steve. That.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Nick Halliwell. They're very good albums. They're great, but it's not. I wasn't involved in that.
So they had a different drummer at the time.
Yeah, the excellent Mike Kellis, who used to be in. Well, they did it just for a session. I don't think they did one live gig, but they didn't really tour or didn't do any gigs as such. But he used to be with The Only Ones and Spooky Tooth.
Oh, I see.
Mike Kellis, his name, absolutely brilliant. He's died now, but an absolutely brilliant drummer. Really good drummer. 57.
Can I ask you why were you not involved?
I don't know. You have to ask them.
Oh, okay. So it's not.
Brilliant like my attitude. I don't know. I really don't know. Well, I was busy. We had other things going on. I was quite involved with the Republic of Swing Samba group I was running, you know.
Yeah.
And plus, they never asked me. I don't know. And they probably thought I was a shit. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, honestly, when you're somebody like Mike Kellis, you're there, you know. But I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. But I don't bother me. I was doing other things at the time anyway. So.
Yeah. And you're back. You're back in the distraction.
Back. The thing is, Mike, the singer, he's not been so well lately, so we've not been doing that many gigs. But it's coming round, and we're going to keep it going. As long as people still want to see us, and we enjoy playing the song, and we enjoy doing it, is the main thing.
You're still, you're keeping fit, and you can still.
You've got to keep fit, and it's great to get out and see people, and meet people, especially London gigs. When we did the Dublin Castle a few years ago, that was great. Because we always went down well in London. We had quite a big fan base in London, and there was people come from all over to see us, and it was really, really nice, Because we did the Electric Circus and Dingwalls and the Nashville in Kensington, and we always went down really well in London. So it'll be nice to get back there in November.
In November, Hope and Anchor, it's going to be your gig in London. Well, you mentioned Republic of Swing.
Yeah.
So you're the director of the.
Well, what I was. I don't do it now. I don't.
Oh, you don't do it now.
No, that was a Manchester band. No, what that was in the 90s. I joined called the Manchester. As I say, I got into Latin music.
Yeah.
But salsa and samba are different. Samba is Brazil, salsa Cuba, and I heard of this band forming called Manchester School of Samba, so I went along with that. A guy called Tony Watts they're still going, and I learned a bit about that there, and then I went, inspired me to go to Brazil. I've been to Brazil twice and kind of played over there in the carnival sort of thing. And I learned quite a bit about it, and then I played in London with a band called Paraíso, who I've just back with from Bank Holiday, and then I learned a bit from them, and it's called a bateria, which is like the drum section of a samba school. In Brazil, there can be up to 300 drummers in this section. So obviously you've got to do a smaller version of that. So I thought, what I heard in Brazil, I said, I'm going to try and do this in Manchester. Just ping the idea in my head. So I started it up from people who knew could play this sort of stuff, and that was going on. We used to do workshops, community centres, big festivals. Play the Liverpool Brazil Festival. We used to have do club gigs as well, and we had a smaller group for club gigs.
Yeah.
So that was going for years, and it was like anybody. It was like we had classes for beginners, people who never held a drumstick in their life.
Yeah,
and they came in, and we showed them how to play it, and they got into. People got into it, and they never knew they had this talent. It brought it out of them, and they became really good players. So that was going for a while. That was going for some 2004, 2017. But the job I had was very stressful, and I was going through a bit of a divorce. So it all got a bit too much for me, because I was doing everything. I was doing all the drums, all the arranging, all the transport, all the getting gigs, and I was working full time in education, and then there was other personal things happening, and I just had a bit of a meltdown with it all. So I had to stop. I couldn't do everything, so I had to pack.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, I still play samba. There's a group up here called Leeds Capella del Samba, and I play with them, and I do with this London band.
Yeah,
and I play with a band called the Peace Artists up this way as well. I do percussion with them. So I still play that sort of stuff. Yeah, and it's great being. I'm retired now, you see, so I've got the time to indulge myself with all.
Yeah, you've got more time now. But is there like a massive difference, or like rock drumming or maybe new wave?
Oh yeah. With some,
which one are you more comfortable in, or are you okay with doing?
I play conga drums, percussion as well. I think I played that for, really looking back, I probably played that for longer. Well, both really. Because they're two completely different genres, completely different styles. Because in rock, when you're playing kit, your basic job is to keep time. You are the timekeeper. That you're the metronome, which let's go around. That, in my opinion, anyway, that's the primary role of a rock drummer or a new wave drummer, is to keep time for the band, for the rest of the band. If that's not there, you can go. Whereas percussion, you're not restricted to timekeeping. You can play around. I played in a jazz funk band doing percussion and things like that. So it's like texture. It's like the spice on the thing. It's not the main thing. So it's more interesting in a way. You've got more scope. But samba, it's a lot of interlocking parts. You've got a polyrhythm. I've been to West Africa as well, and you in Gambia and Senegal, and you hear one simple rhythm, but then another one which goes with it, against it, then another one, and another one, and another one. It's just magical, really.
Wow.
It's where it's the heartbeat of music. Just wonderful.
Well, Aiden said that he saw the Batala Mundo drummers in Liverpool. I don't know if you've heard of them, but apparently they were really good.
What are they called?
Batala Mundo.
No, Batala, yeah.
Batala, okay, Batala Mundo.
Batala have just won the first prize in the samba category in the Notting Hill Carnival this year, and the band I was with, Paraiso, came second. But Batala, they're very. Oh yeah, there's a Batala's a lot of them, a lot. You're talking 100, 200, and they're a franchise. They have drummers. They have groups in Liverpool, London, Edinburgh. All in Manchester now they have Batala, and then once a year in Notting Hill they all get together, all the groups, because they're learning the same piece of music in each area, so they've no need to do anything different. So when they all get together, they all know what they're doing. So they're very good, very impressive, very impressive. It's thundering sound,
Yeah, is there something that maybe you might incorporate in the new the Distractions material? Are you going to be coming up with it?
I don't know how I feel about that. No, I can't see Mike going for that, to be honest. But no stand there like, are you? No, I do kind of incorporate. I've sneaked a few little bits in, because on the end of one track, I have what they call a timbales drum. It's like a Latin salsa drum, and at the end of it, I do a bit of a solo on the timbale drum, So
Oh,
It doesn't. It's called "It Doesn't Bother Me," the track, and at the end I do a little bit of a solo on this. So that's my little Latin contribution.
yeah, yeah. What are you coming up with the new material? Are you recording?
Well, there has. I mean, Chris, I've done some lyrics and might be doing something. If Chris comes up with something, some chords and things like that, some lyrics, and we try and perfect what we do. Really, and kind of make sure that that's right, and kind of tweak it a little bit, and tweak the steps because we're a bit restricted. We can't really, as I say, they had 2 albums out on Occultation, and we're not really allowed to do any tracks off that.
Oh, you're not. Oh, I see.
We've been asked not to do them, which is a shame.
Right. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought
you'd have to ask Mike and other people about that. It's just a bit of copyright and things like that, you know.
Oh, I see. Even live, even just sort of like playing it live.
No, we do all the songs off and we do a few covers like Velvet Underground, Sweet Jane, and things like that.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah,
we were talking of doing a bit of a live album actually, which we could probably do, but maybe some new songs come up in the future. Yeah, but we had these 5 which Joe wrote. Well, Joe wrote most of them off the EP.
Yeah.
So you know we're still doing them, and maybe in the future some might come up. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you're going to be playing at the Spinning Top again.
The 8th of December.
8th of December, yeah. Because I actually Googled it and it's not showing at the moment. So maybe
it's probably not just yet. I might he leaves it to the last minute, really.
Yeah. Before it get announced.
It will do. It will be there. It will be there.
Yeah.
I think what we're trying to do is sort out the support bands first. I think he's trying to get other people on. And once he's got the full... Because what he tries to do is to try and get 2 or 3 bands on.
Yeah.
Gig, and we'll probably be headlining, probably, maybe.
Yeah.
And so I think he's just working out who can get as support bands for that.
Yeah.
But once that's on,
and then it will be announced. Then,
it should be on then. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, at least you're still gigging, and I hope that Mike Finney, gets better, because you mentioned earlier that his health hasn't been.
Oh yeah. He's recovering. I think he's okay. Yeah.
He's a lovely man. I still remember that gig at Disorder, because he told me that he hasn't laughed for a while, and I made him laugh, and I thought, oh, it's so nice of him to sort of like say that. So wish him well and good health and everything.
Yeah.
But okay, before I let you go, because I know this is like we've been chatting for over an hour now, because I did say to you that it's going to be an hour. I normally ask these questions, these 4 questions. First one is, do you twirl when you play? I don't think I've seen you do that.
I've tried. I can do a little bit, but I haven't got a stick. The short answer on it is no.
No. Not in any of the bands that you played in. Maybe what's it called, Menace, or
you
didn't do that?
When I was younger, in the old days I used to do a little bit of that, but not so much now.
Not now.
They fall out of my hands and things.
Yeah. Is there any sort of like tricks in a samba band? Are there any drummer tricks playing?
Oh yeah, well, there's a thing. There's a big drum you play. It's called a surdo. It's like the bass drum, and what you can do it, and then I can't do it here, but you can juggle it like that. You can hit the skin, and the stick goes round like that, and you catch it on the beat. So you do.
Oh right, yeah, of course.
And also, you have a thing called it. It's called a pandero. They have these in Brazil in small bars and things like that. If you're having a party or something like that, somebody's house or in a bar, you don't have the big drums all crashing away. You just have.
Just have that. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. It's so good. But one thing that I wanted to ask you though is the difference between a percussionist and a drummer.
Yeah, well, as I said before, the drummer is mainly the timekeeper of a band, you see. But a percussionist plays around it, basically. You're not restricted to just keeping the beat. So a percussionist adds like the spice and the texture to it. It just adds extra. Yeah, it's like an accompaniment to the drummer. It's not. It's not the primary role. You know, the drummer is there for the timing.
Yeah.
Whereas percussion, it can go. It's more complex. You can go round the beat. You can round the beat, and so you're not restricted to a central timekeeping role. So that, to me, is like the essential difference. You can play percussion parts on a kit, but I'm not very good at that. I'm more of a rock drummer. My favourite drummers are Ringo and Charlie Watts, and straight rock and roll drumming. I love that. Yeah. But it's mainly Rocky's timekeeping, percussion is extra texture and spice, which adds to it, really.
Yeah, but percussionists can play the drums. They're more like they can play every percussion instrument.
They can't. I know some percussionists who don't play kit. I know a few.
Right, okay.
You get some people, especially in like Cuba and Brazil. I've been to Cuba, and they just play either bongos or congas or anything like that, because in that sort of music in Cuba, they don't really have a drum kit. What they play, what they have bongos, congas, and called timbales. So that is the drum section. So that is the drum section. They don't really use kit at all.
But the drummers, on the other hand, can they play other percussion instruments?
Some drummers, I know some drummers who can't play congas. They certainly can't play that. It depends how far you want to take it, where your interests are. If you want to learn it, if you're a kit drummer and you want to learn percussion, well, you've already got the sense of rhythm and independence in the hand. Right. So you could learn it and pick it up. Listen to the records, listen to Latin music and pick it up from there. And on YouTube now, there's millions of how to do everything. You can do anything on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, you already answered the next question, which is drumming heroes, because you said Ringo Starr and Charlie Watts. And any other drumming heroes?
Well, I like John Marr. I love this.
John Marr,
Clem Burke out of Blondie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Now he can twirl. He's an amazing twirler.
Oh, you can do that. It makes you sick. When we played New York in 1980, he came to see us, actually. I remember him come to, when we played a club called Haraz in New York. We did 2 nights in 1980, and he came to see us, Clem Burke. Wow. He really liked it as well. I was talking to him.
Oh, wow.
My favourites are Charlie Watts, Ringo, Clem Burke. And have you ever heard of a band called Little Feat?
Yeah.
American band. There's a drummer there, that drummer, Richie Hayward, who is just listen out. If you listen to the Little Feat, listen out for the drums on that. It's really good. I'm not too keen on these flashy jazz drummers. I can't do it. But I do. I love Art Blakey and Elvin Jones and people like that. But for my personal thing, I love to hear bang on time, keeping the time in rock solid, like Charlie does. Yeah.
Any Manchester drummer?
Any Manchester drummer?
Apart from John Marr.
John Marr. There's a drummer. Do you know what's his name? He's been Greasy Bear and Dritty Column. Bruce Mitchell.
Oh, Bruce Mitchell, yeah.
Bruce,
yeah. I think he's older than you, isn't he?
Oh, you're one of the very few people who's older than me. I'm the oldest one you've ever had on here. I thought I'd do this before I crumble into my grave. But yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I remember 'cause I have met Bruce Mitchell, and he's brilliant. He's really
yeah.
nice.
Well, keep it.
Person.
No, Bruce Mitchell. I think Bruce, and there's a guy called Mickey Thomas who does soul drum, and Donald at a certain ratio.
A certain. Oh yes, yeah, yeah,
He's, I mean, there's some great drummers in Manchester. Really,
yeah. Oh, definitely.
yeah. I think Donald and Bruce Mitchell, who was. I don't know whether Bruce is still playing or not because he must be getting on a bit now. Bruce. He's great.
I think he attends so like Manchester events. If there's like book events or anything to do with Manchester music, because now that do you know Dr. C.P. Lee?
Who?
Dr. C.P. Lee, Chris Lee.
Oh
From
yeah. Oh, I knew Chris. I knew
Yeah,
Chris really well.
yeah,
I used to go drink. Oh, and that really upset me, Anna, when he died. That was really
yeah,
sad because I used to go. I became a mature student at Manchester Polytechnic when I was like 38, and to become a teacher, I didn't know whether to do it, and he persuaded me to do it, to take a
oh,
degree, and
yeah,
Chris gave me a reference because he was working there. He was a lecturer there at Manchester
yeah.
Poly, and he gave me a reference, and him and Dave Holmes, I always appreciate that. And oh yeah, that was upsetting with Chris
I
because
know. Yeah,
he's
yeah,
great. And I used to see him in the local pub we went to in Ladybarn called the White Swan because he used to live there, and he was the funniest guy. Yeah, I'd be on the floor laughing. It really was. He was so intelligent and so funny. And Chris Lee, such a shame, really.
yeah. I know. It's like I'm sure because he's very supportive of what I do
Oh
as
yeah,
well. I'm sure. I'm sure if he was still alive, then he'd be really pleased I was
yeah,
doing this.
yeah.
Talking to drummers and things.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
He,
But
he,
yeah,
you know, Chris put together that EP for Ace about. Have you heard of it? It's called Manchester, a City United in
yes,
Music.
yeah,
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 because the
yeah.
Purple Gang are
That's
on that. The
yeah.
Purple
I
Gang.
think. Well, we went to. I think that's where I met Bruce Mitchell because we went to the. I think it was at the Castle Hotel when they did the launch of
Right,
that.
yes. Joe Bearder of the Purple Gang was there as well. Joe
Oh,
at the Purple Gang, he
right.
was there, yeah. And
Yeah,
because we've got the Purple Gang have one track on that. It's really he chose the tracks on that, didn't he?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
some
right.
very good ones. One I never heard before.
Well, next question is: have you? Because you've been playing drums for a long time. I mean, you started when you were a teenager when you played drums. Have you
Yeah.
ever like had? I'm sure you've had so like disasters or accidents when you're playing drums.
Um, well, yeah, sometimes in the early days of the Purple Gang, when you're playing the bass drum and it kind of creeps further
What?
and further forward. And you're like, sort of thing. And because the roadies had not fixed it down properly, or used the thing, or I hadn't done. I was too drunk to do it. And then you play, and then the hi hats drifting in this direction, like that. So your legs are going further and further apart, and you're trying it in the middle of the song, and then you're trying to pull it in between breaths. Oh yeah, I love it. And I fell off the back of the stage once with the stool at a festival, not with distraction. There was a gap at the back, and I'm pushing back like that while I was playing.
Yeah,
Here at the back,
it's
all on the back of the stage.
it seems
Well,
to be a regular. It seems to be a regular thing with drummers. So like falling off. Is
yeah,
it
well,
something to do with the
it depends on
stage?
who you are. Really. No, that was just the stage. I didn't see it. It was just at the back there, and the back
Yeah.
of the stool just tipped over, and I banged my head on the back. Oh yeah, but loads of. But the worst one is when you don't fix the drums properly before you start, and then they start drifting off. And the bass drum's like creeping over there, and you're trying to follow it and keep
Yeah.
the beat at the same time. Yeah.
Well, now a good rug will actually do the trick if you've got like a good rug. And I think I've seen a stopper. I think they do have like a drum stopper now.
A drum
I've,
line?
there's a stopper like a door stopper. So there's one that they put and the big drum, the bass drum,
Oh yeah, yeah,
keeps
yeah.
it from
Oh
running away. So
yeah. Well, nowadays, what you do, what I learned anyway over the years, you have a piece of carpet or a mat with a piece of
yeah,
wood on the front, so
yeah,
the legs of the bass drum fix into the wood or they go against the wood. So and the weight of you sat on it will keep it steady. Yeah, but nowadays, some of the drums that I've seen, some hi hats, they've got their own screws where you screw them in the floor and all sorts. Yeah. Oh, the drum kits have certainly improved since when I was playing with them.
yeah,
And gone more expensive as well.
yeah. That's right.
You can pay
Well,
£600 for a cymbal.
oh god. Well, my final question now is, what would be your advice? Any advice for aspiring drummers or musicians in general?
I would say just practice the rudiments. Practice your double stroke, and learn how to use them. If you're self-taught, if you're not, I would go to a good teacher if you can. I wish I'd have done at the time. I wish I had done. But learn how to use a metronome, a click track. Whatever you're playing,
Oh,
that to me that is so nowadays it is so important to keep time, because when I first started they didn't have them click tracks, you were just kind of relying on it. But now if you're recording, the overdub and overdub, so that timing has to be there. So advice I would give would just learn the rudiments and
yeah.
learn how to use a metronome. You just play fast and just practice with that metronome. And because, as I said at the start, timing is the most important thing in a drummer, I think. And nowadays, you've got that aid. You've got some fantastic metronomes, electronic apps, metronome apps.
Yeah, yeah,
You can
yeah.
any speed, any timing. Learn to use it at different times, like a 3/4 time, or a 5/8 time, or a 2/2/4 time, whatever. Learning different timings. But the main thing is do it and then put speed up a bit, beats per minute, 120 beat, and just keep this beat on that. Learn how to do that. Learn how to do that. Play to the time. Yeah. That's what
Oh
I'd say.
wow. So do you do that now with the
Yeah,
distraction
I do
or
actually.
click
I
track?
do, when I'm practicing, I do use a metronome. Go through the distractions tracks or whatever, and I get the part off, and then play it through. Just see what speed it is. 120, 100, whatever, and then I usually practice with it, but not on stage because. I did play with a band, a short-lived band up here, and we did use a metronome. I did have a click track in my ear.
Yeah.
That seemed to be okay actually. But I was getting them between songs. I couldn't change them fast enough. I'm not very tech savvy, you see. It just went a bit pear shaped. But you can do it. A lot of bands now. You notice the ear socket. That is a click track. Everybody in the band has that. But I think only the drummer needs that. If the drummer has that,
Yes,
and it's in
yes.
time, well, the rest of the band follow that. So you learn how to use a click track. I do use one on, and now you can get them which go across your body, or you can get them on your wrist, like a pulse thing. So it's not really a noise; it's a pulse. So you can have a pulse on your.
Wow.
And it is, and they're amazing, absolutely amazing.
Oh
And
wow.
I've been meaning to get one actually, but I do use it when I'm practicing. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely amazing. I didn't know that. I didn't know about I mean, I have heard of click tracks and sort of like
Yeah.
drummers
You can
play.
get which go across your body as well. You can have them under your shirt, and you can have it on your heart, or it's going, or a light flashes like that. Because
Yeah,
you get over here and you see the light going pulse. So nowadays, really, you've no excuse for losing time. A drummer,
yeah, yeah.
really, it's all there for you.
Amazing. Well, would you agree then that a band is only as good as its drummer?
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
That's what I
Well,
mean.
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, if you want to sort of like invite all the people watching us about the gig in London for you in
Oh yes,
November. I know
that's
it's still a long way to go yet, but it's in November.
yeah. The
Thank
23rd,
you.
but tickets are selling fast, and
Yeah,
it's only a tiny, it's only a very small place. The Hope and Anchor. We did it
yeah,
once before in the old days, and we you had to get the gear through the beer trap, and then the road, and we couldn't get it through. Yeah, no, it's a very small place, so get your tickets now.
yeah. Well, that's good. That's a Hope and Anchor November
November 23rd.
November 23rd. Well, that's it. And then December the 8th at the Spinning Top, which I'm really
Spinning top, yeah,
in
the 8th.
Stockport.
Yeah, Sunday the 8th.
Yeah, I need to sort of like go and see you and stuff because it's like local to me. So I've
Yeah,
got to sort of like make
it's free
sure.
to get in as well. It's free.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Alec. I'm really glad that you're here. I really enjoyed talking to you. I've learned so
Yeah.
much. I've learned a lot as well. So especially those click track things.
Good,
But
good,
yeah,
good.
for someone who's not really very musical, I like music, but I'm not very musical, and I don't really know a lot about the technical side of things. But I think I am getting there. I'm learning a
You
lot
should. Yeah, have
from
a go
drumming.
on the Anna. Have a go on the drums. If you can count to four, you can play the drums. Really.
Yeah, I've tried it before, but I'm just so like I think I'm just way too. Um, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. I have tried it before, but I just so like way too conscious about it, and so I think I'll just love the
Everybody
drummers.
enjoys. Everybody.
I'll leave the playing to the drummers, and I'll just love them. I'll just watch them, and well, thank you so much, Alec, and hope to see
Yeah.
you again soon.
Okay. Happy birthday for September, anyway.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna be away. Actually, I'm gonna be in
Oh,
Bangkok celebrating my birthday.
that's
In 3 weeks time. So yeah.
good on you.
But thank you so
No
much.
problem. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. See ya. See you again
Bye.
soon. Bye. Bye. Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live. That was so amazing. I really enjoyed it. And as always, I really like Manchester. I forgot to ask him about like what I say about Manchester that produces so many amazing drummers. But anyways, yeah, yeah, that's what. Thanks once again. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ask the Drummer, and we'll be back next week. Again on a Sunday. So yeah, and then I mean I won't say. I mean I'm going to be away so there'll be 2 Sundays that I'm not doing astronomy, but I can talk about that some other time. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and as always, love music, love life, love drummers. Alec Sidebottom, that's his real name. He's so amazing. Thank you so much for saying yes to Ask the Drummer. So I'll see you all again next week. Bye for now. Bye.